Okay, first I'd like to welcome all of y'all to Nashville. I should have warned Kalina that I'm a descendant of a lot of Baptist ministers down in South Georgia, North Florida, but I only got 10 minutes, but I'll keep it within the limits so that she'll invite me to speak again. I teach a course here at TSU called Black Nashville in History and Memory. And what I and my students do, we explore memory, but we also explore amnesia. What we have forgotten and who determines what we remember and how we remember it, how we celebrate it. So I think it's fitting for me to be here this afternoon to speak to you because we grapple with trying to figure out ways to present this history to the public, to present it in spaces that are not classrooms. We struggle, we grapple with trying to make the earth our classroom. Now, I put together a really short slideshow, so the person that's in charge of the slides, can you forward it to the one with the young ladies that are standing by the sign? And while they're doing that, let me explain what is going on. Nashville was the second largest slave port in the volunteer state. And we oftentimes talk about it in my classrooms as being the first big business in this city. But as you drive around the town, next slide, as you drive around town, as you drive around the city, you might not see anything that reflects that fact, right? So I was in class, and what we did in class was I would have my students read slave advertisements. We'd read them to each other, and we tried to figure out what was going on. And there was one in particular where it referenced a 7-year-old boy that was being sold at this corner where these young ladies are standing. So we tried to figure out what was going through his mind, what his behavior could be like later on, and how we could tell this story. One of the students in my class got visibly angry, and I thought she was mad at me at first. And you know, that's not nothing new. Sometimes students get mad at professors, right? But as to what was wrong, she said, I lived here my whole life and nobody has ever told us this. Why don't we get taught this? And I was relatively new on campus at the time. I was like, I don't know. Well, she said, you are a professor here. Can't you do something about it? So I wrote a proposal for a historical marker, and it was a very well-written proposal, I might add. And I submitted it, but I didn't have any money. But what I did when I came here was I became engaged in the community, so much so that they knew me, so that when I went to the barbershop, as I usually did at that time on Fridays, the seniors in there asked me what was going on, and I told them that I needed money for a marker. So they broke out. They peeled back $700 for me right there. Then I had 7 students in the class, so I chipped in $100 for each of them. Now don't get it twisted, because TSU ain't paying me like that, right? Mine was done on the installment plan, but nonetheless, we got it done. And we put that marker there. We had a libation ceremony. We spoke the names of the people that we knew that were sold there, and it was a very, very powerful moment. So much so that now, when those students come home for homecoming, I take a sense of pride in knowing that they're riding by and saying, hey, we did that in Dr. Williams' class. But for the purpose of this conference and looking at Black Nashville, I want y'all to understand this. This space that y'all are in right now, North Nashville, is a stage upon which one of the great dramas in American history transpired. Y'all are familiar with the civil rights movement, I'm sure, and the Nashville movement. I want y'all to be mindful of this. Most of those students that y'all saw marching down Jefferson Street with Diane Nash, C.T. Vivian, and others, most of those students were recruited right over there in Elliott Hall, which was the cafeteria at the time. Most of those students who participated in the Freedom Rides, the ones that made their way to Birmingham, Alabama, when the Freedom Ride seemed to be about to stall, and Diane Nash says, no, we can't allow this to happen. Most of those students that left Nashville were from TSU. They were recruited right over there in Elliott Hall and Boyd Hall and other places. Our students who participated in the movement, once they made their way to Jackson, Mississippi, they got arrested and they were sent to Mississippi State Penitentiary, the notorious Parchman Farm. They are locked up in there and they receive notices that the school has expelled them for their participation in the march. Now, it took us a while to do right by them. It took us all the way until 2008 before we finally, the university finally bestowed honorary doctorates on them. But if you will advance to the next slide. Our students, I said all that to say this, and I'm going to wrap up. You are at a site in the city that has always cultivated some form of protest. They've looked at the status quo and said that it's not good enough. But they went a little bit further. They said it's not good enough and we are going to make it better. And I've never lost track of the fact that, you know, these seniors that you see on the screen right here, they were 18 and 19 years old at that time. So they're not too different from the young folks that I teach every day to day. My students are a bit impulsive, they are impatient, and they speak their minds. But that's a good thing. So I realize that I'm just meeting y'all and I'm the only person in here that's probably not a designer, but I'll give you some history advice. Pay attention to the younger folks. Let their energy and their ideas animate your work. For you young people, to seek out wise counsel of your elders so they can prevent you from making some of the mistakes that they have made. Okay. Thank you for allowing me to talk to you for just a few minutes, and enjoy yourselves while you're at TSU and Nashville. God bless.